Good evening, everybody. How are you doing? Radha here from Little Crafters Boxes. And today I am joined by the very lovely Elizabeth, who is a long-time customer of Little Crafters Boxes. It's the first time we've virtually met Elizabeth, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
Thank you so much for joining us tonight.
That's all right. Thank you.
Now, Elizabeth, have you been with Little Crafters Boxes since the very beginning? Because I remember your name from the very, very early days.
It's the first year. It was either the Vikings or the space one.
That was definitely the first year. The space, Vikings, I think was April, May of the first year. So yeah, very, very early on.
We missed the big globe, the big inflatable balloon one that you did, the hot. And then I think there might have been one other one we missed, but then I think we found you after that, and we've been with you ever since.
That's wonderful. Thank you so much for still being here. I see you haven't been put off by Thursday Night Lives, which is a wonderful, a continuation, really. I was going to say a wonderful start, but 4 years in, it's a bit late for that, isn't it?
Yeah.
Right, so you're talking to us about a very, very special project today, aren't you, that you guys have been working on behind the scenes?
Yeah.
You told me about it, I think, maybe a year ago in conversation, and I think obviously we do these lives, and I was talking about our compostable toilet from memory.
Yes, probably.
And you sent me an email, a little message afterwards saying, "Wow, that's so good! You know, we're doing this," and and it stayed with me because I thought it was so good. So tell us what your project is that you've been working on.
Okay, so I did make notes in case I forget. We're building our own home. It's a multi-generational home, so like everyone, it's really hard to for first-time buyers to get on the property ladder. So we joined together with my in-laws who were in rented accommodation, and we wanted to buy something that we could improve. But then this place came up and we loved the site so much. We had because there's a little paddock to the side as well that my ponies live in, which was always the dream, having them in the garden. The downside was that the existing bungalow was only 2 bedrooms. So my in-laws currently live in a static caravan in the garden, and we live in the main house, but the roof leaks and needs replacing, but we're coping with it until the new build that we're doing is finished. It's almost there. So we've extended, well, it's sort of an extension, sort of new. Basically, when we moved in, there was a lot of sheds and outbuildings outside, and we got permission to knock them all down and consolidate them into one usable space, basically. So we're going to be living in that bit, and then when that's done, we're going to be able to refurbish the one we're living in at the moment, and my in-laws will move in to this bit, and then we'll be there.
Is the existing bungalow that was already on site when you
Yes.
bought the place?
Yeah, right, it's a small 1930s bungalow with 2 tiny bedrooms. But it had a really lovely garden, and we got a river at the end of the garden, so it was just a lovely place to be, and filled with nature that we loved. And we got a beautiful apple tree that you might have seen in the picture that I sent you, that we sort of built around because it was so beautiful. And yeah, that's lovely. We wanted to try and keep what we can of what was here, like all the trees and things like that, and just work with them.
Wonderful. And am I right in thinking it's an eco-friendly home?
Yeah, so we've tried as far as possible. It's really my husband's thing, is trying to be sustainable and just more conscious, and it's more efficient. So it's not a big house, but it's really, he's made it so it's really multifunctional. You know, his office is the hallway, but he can open the doors to the office and it shuts him off in his little office, and the desk folds down, and we've got a kitchenette in there, and we can lift up a extra work surface space if we need extra space. And we're building the furniture, so the sofa unit is actually going to be on wheels, so we can move it and change its position. So if we want more space, we can do that. So it gives us flexibility within the space. But environmentally wise, yeah, it was basically the majority of it is timber construction, which they say with the technical terms is embodied carbon. You know, it's been growing all this time, catching carbon dioxide and releasing oxygen. So unlike sort of things like concrete or brick, which don't do that. So it's supposed to be more eco-conscious there. And then there's so much insulation in our walls that it's really warm in there without needing particularly any heating. We do have underfloor heating, but we don't. I don't expect we'll need it much. In fact, when they ran the tests that they have to do to say whether your design works, because we're west facing, they said, well, you'll get too hot. So we had to take out a panel of glass because they said we'd get too hot in the summer.
Oh, wow.
So
I didn't know that was a thing in this country. There was especially at the moment.
Yeah. So so I don't mind being too hot, but yes.
Oh, lovely. So so have you guys, you yourselves been building it yourselves, or have you had people doing bits for you and
bits of both? Yeah, bits of both. We're lucky enough that my father-in-law is a carpenter, so he's got a couple of people that work for him as well. So he's been what do they call it? Preparing all the timber materials and installing them, and my husband has been working on it as well. I haven't had much involvement other than the buying and the pointing and saying I like it there and stuff like that.
Move it a little bit to the left, please. Oh no,
exactly.
Back to the right.
Yeah. But my involvement will come sort of nearer the sort of finishing bits, where I am given the task of sewing the sofa cushions and making all the soft furnishings for the house.
Lovely.
And then we've had friends that are plumbers and electricians as well. And obviously, because my husband's an architect, he was able to do all of it. We actually couldn't have done it if he wasn't, because he knows exactly what he could do and how to do it. And yeah, because it's a you know, it's a special site, which not as in special you can't do anything, but there were restrictions with being in the green belt. So that's why having those extra outbuildings there meant that we could do it, because we tidied it up by taking all of these add-on bits that have been added by the previous owner just over the decades. It was just another one dotted around sheds and greenhouses and things everywhere falling apart.
So in my head, I've got visions of you kind of being in the middle of the jungle somewhere, or in the middle of nowhere. Are you near anything, or are you very, very secluded? Okay.
Yes. Well, if you ask the mortgage person, he said that we were remote rural, but we've got a supermarket like 3 minutes down the road. So I think he must have come from the city.
I was going to say, do you go foraging for your own food and stuff?
I say no, but we actually did make the nettle pesto and wild garlic and cheese scones this week from the garden. But that's more of a trying things out rather than a regular habit.
This is how we need to live. That's fab. Well, that's useful then. So you've got the whole kind of luxury of that nature remote living, but with a supermarket on your doorstep, which it's like they knew you were coming.
Yeah, I know.
Make sure that they're nice and stocked up. So I've got some photos here. You did send me some photos.
Yeah, I did. Yeah.
I will add them to the stage, and you can talk us through them. They look amazing.
Okay.
So what's this room then?
So this is our living room. I think I've actually got my back to the kitchenette right now. And the brick wall that you can see, well, it's not brick, it's a slate slip wall in the middle, that's our bathroom. It's like a little pod in the middle of the room,
Oh, wow.
or between the bedrooms and the living space. And you can see the wall is all timber clad there, and then this shelf up the top, you can see our lights hanging from. It's our feature light there that will give us extra light if we need any more, because we've got a perimeter LED that runs all the way around, just so that we can see where we're going if we don't want lots of light. But that's a nice shelf where I'm going to put lots of plants and Aurelia's LCB builds up there on the shelf.
I love that we get to feature in your house.
Yes. And you can see the sorry?
I'll get in touch with the press when you finished it and get them to go around and photograph your eco-friendly house with your eco-friendly subscription box. That would be so good. Lovely. So, in terms of your lights, how are you getting the energy for these? Is it just regular electric, or are you finding a different way to?
So at the moment, it's it's from the grid electricity. But the long-term plan is to put the solar panels up when we've got the other building done as well, and the roof's done, so that obviously we can do it at the same time.
Wonderful. And is your whole house going to be powered off the solar power, or is it going to be?
I would hope so. I would hope so. If we can get enough, we'd probably stay attached to the grid just in case we don't. And then obviously you can do those schemes where if you get on the right tariff, they'll pay you back for anything. But we'll have a battery as well, so that it can store anything we make to use at the right times. Our heating and hot water on the new building is air source heat pump. We're planning to get rid of the gas as soon as possible, which is in the main building where I am now. We'll get rid of that long term. Probably not that long in the future either, because as soon as we start renovating the existing bungalow, that will just be cut off and taken away. Gas is the main one that we wanted to come off as soon as possible, because we can do you can find a renewable tariff that helps with the renewables there.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wonderful. Okay, so that's your living room / bathroom.
Bathroom in the background. Yeah.
All right. Yeah, bathroom. Is it through that door there? Is it?
That's not a door. That's a like a little shelf. There was going to be a window there, and we decided just to put that in because it was complicating how to make it watertight and stuff on the other side.
Okay, I see. Okay, so and then we've got this here. What room is this?
So this is the living room from the other side. So you can see you've got the lights there, and that green bit over to the right is the kitchen. So we completely built the kitchen from scratch to fit the space. So they're much taller than normal kitchen cupboards. I will need a step because I'm not very tall, but it was about utilizing all the space that we had, so that the kitchen cupboards go all the way up to the ceiling and fit in there.
Oh, wonderful. Steps are so underrated. I use a step in our kitchen because I'm only 5'3.5".
Well, I'm trying to convince my husband that I want one of those library ladders that slides along.
Yes, that's a great idea. Yeah. We'll laser cut you one.
Yeah.
Send it across as a housewarming present. Most people send flowers. We'll send you a ladder. Right. Okay. This I'm very interested in. Is this a composting toilet?
It's not a composting toilet. It is attached to the mains.
Okay.
There will probably be a composting toilet on the property eventually in the main house, but we will keep mains flushing loose. I think I'm not sure how my family feel about emptying their composting toilets for everyone.
It's far easier than it's far less. It's just nicer than you think it's going to be. You think it's going to be really icky, and we've got one in the workshop, and I didn't know how I felt about it, and the staff didn't either when we first got it. But it's actually really easy. You've got a tank for one bit, and the other bit to a biodegradable bag. You don't even, and it's like full of sawdust as well, because every time you go, you just put some sawdust in. You
So
don't
it just
really
gets
see
layered
anything.
up.
Yeah, no, it's just like emptying the bin. It's not very invasive or anything like that. I totally would, like, in the garden, we're not going to have them forever. We are going to get facilities put into the workshop. I want rainwater flushing toilets.
Yeah, good.
Which we're currently looking into. But I do like the composting toilet. I do see the point of it. And I think somewhere on the grounds or somewhere there will always be a place for our composting toilet. It will never just completely disappear.
No.
And what about your sink there, Elizabeth? What's that made out of?
So it's a basalt sink. It's made out of stone.
Okay. Is that just one that you bought, or did you do
it is one that we bought. We didn't manufacture it, but what we've tried to do is use all sort of as far as possible, all natural materials and minimal plastic we can get away with. Sometimes you can't avoid it. And it has its place. But all the tiling is slate, and it's the same as that's on the floor. And which obviously it's durable, and it's come from the earth, so it's not quite as bad as doing all this plastic bits and all of the processing. It's not quite as much processing involved, which we liked, and it has the benefit of it looks really nice too.
Absolutely. It's clean, it's tidy. It looks like it's out of a hotel. It's lovely. This is the outside?
This is the outside, yeah. So
you guys built this?
Sorry?
You built this?
Yeah. There are a couple of videos that we've got somewhere of it being built that I can drop you the link later. You can see how it started and the frame, but apart from a few steel beams that we had to have to support the glass window, the rest of it is timber construction and timber frame inside. So it worked with my father-in-law being a carpenter.
Of course. It looks beautiful. So where is your bungalow in conjunction to this?
It's to the right of the picture. So if you went off to the right, so this is at the back of our plot and the bungalow is at the front.
Righto. Okay. It is stunning. Oh, that's it, I think. You've got a bath here.
That's my bath. Yeah.
It's beautiful. You've got a double-ended bath and everything. That's proper luxury in this tiny little eco.
I told you my involvement was a lot to do with the choosing bits I liked.
Lovely. Right. Okay. So in terms of time and cost, how long have you been working on this project?
Well, we started near the beginning of COVID, actually, with the planning, and then everyone going into lockdown and stuff like that didn't help with getting the planning through, because obviously everyone got furloughed, so that slowed us down. But when it eventually came through, I think my husband went on furlough for a bit, and that actually helped us because he had some time to do all the demolition and take down all the old buildings. So he's did all of that. We were only really doing it on the weekends, so it's sort of spread over. It totals about 6 months worth of time, but spread out over a longer period.
Right. Okay. So do you have like day jobs and things that you have to go?
Yeah, that's it. We've had to balance the paid employment with building our house.
Yeah. And is it going to be your main residence once it's finished?
Yes. Yeah.
That's fab. How long do you think it's going to take before it is finished?
We should be moving in the summer. It's not far from being air tested. Now we're just finishing up all the edging and stuff like that, and then you can get those and get the building inspector out again and sign it off. And then the only thing then holding us back is the building the furniture. So we're essentially, we could move in because the cooker and the hob is all attached, and the bathroom is now all plumbed in, so we could live in there. We just don't want to move in until we've got our furniture. We don't want to take our old furniture. We've literally been putting up with broken furniture. There's big tears in my sofa where the sofa's had enough. It's like, well, we're not replacing it. We're going to move into a new place.
Yeah, no, I hear that. We thought that we'd done well when we moved to the house we're in now. We chucked away a lot of our old furniture because our kids, it's quite ruthless, isn't it, when you've got kids? Everything gets wrecked. Yeah. And that's another conversation entirely. We've only been here 3 years and already we've had to rip carpets out and, like replace furniture, and because it is, when they're young, they're either happy kids or they have to do as they're told and sit still. And I don't want them to have that kind of childhood.
No.
You just accept that, they're going to be a little bit wild.
Yeah. And you've got stuff around, I mean, I blame you, Radha, for how much stuff there is in my house, because it's all little crafters.
I can't think what you mean. Also, think how lovely it's going to look in your eco-friendly home. You can decorate your whole house with it for how long you do with us.
Well, the clock, the bee clock is still one of my favorite things, and it fits perfectly because it's made of wood too, and we love bees and hexagons and things like that. So it fits perfectly. It's going pride of place as our clock.
That's wonderful. I do. Whereabouts in the country are you, Elizabeth?
Dorset.
Oh, you're
South Coast.
Okay. Well, if I'm ever up that or down that way, I'll give you a knock.
Yeah.
That's really lovely. In terms of links and things, to find out more about it, if they wanted to see sort of how you got on and what you've been doing and what it looked like.
Yeah, I've got links. Well, my husband's got a YouTube page called Think Imagine Question. I can pop a link in a bit, but on there he's got a playlist called The Self-Build Experience, and that is where he's been documenting it. There hasn't been one for quite a while. He's been waiting to put everything, the latest stuff together, but you've got the early bits like the taking stuff down and building the horse shelter, because when we moved the ponies here, then they needed somewhere to shelter and have their hay. So got videos like that, and then the construction of the frame of the house and going up there, and then obviously he'll add a finished one at the end, and then there's just the other bits if anyone was interested in architecture that he's got, that the kids can, well, it's more pitched at adults, but the older children that are at the right age to maybe look at what is involved in becoming a professional within architecture, they might find it interesting. It's always good, isn't it, to find out. I remember being a child, and you think, well, you can only be, or the only people that work in medicine is doctors and nurses, or in animal care it's just vets, and you forget about all the other sort of pathways that you're able to do. So I think that's one thing that we try is showing Aurelia the different career paths and options that there are. It doesn't have to be like the first one that people think of when they think of it. There's all these other sort of elements, aren't there, of a profession.
Well, if we ever did anything like it in one of our box teams, I'm sure it'll come up eventually. We'll use you guys as a case study and get your husband doing some videos in the community, telling us all about it. That might be nice.
Yeah, that's cool.
So what's your favorite feature in your new house then? What bit do you absolutely love above all else, aside the bee clock, of course, which I know contender up there?
In the new house, I don't know, probably the bathroom and the view from what will be our bedroom, because the bedroom is where the apple tree is. So it will be really nice that we can wake up and look at the birds on the apple tree in the morning. And the bathroom I really like because it just feels like my little cozy cave, and I can just shut everyone out and relax in there. It's probably my favorite bit at the moment.
That's lovely. Have you used it yet, even though you don't live there? Have you?
No, we haven't. It was plumbed in, and I've cleaned it, and then I re-wrapped it all to protect it again.
Oh no! I'd go there whenever I wanted some respite from my family. I'd be like, just going to pop off for a quick bath. It's all plumbed in. It's ideal. It's quiet as well because nobody else is in it yet.
Yeah, exactly.
So up till now, have you experienced any challenges with it? What's been the hardest parts?
Yeah, the delays really with we had some delays post Brexit and then post COVID and then again post the start of the wars with getting materials and getting things through and getting people on site, you know, all of those things delayed things, and Brexit put the cost of materials up phenomenally. But there's all things that we couldn't help, so you just had to go with it. You know, we're in it, we have to go and keep going. So
yeah, well done for getting this far, really. You know, you've persevered with it and it looks absolutely stunning.
Yeah.
Would you recommend it?
I was just going to say, the one thing I didn't mention, the picture of the front of the house, I don't know if you noticed that the ground is dug out there, and that's part of that was for flood mitigation. So it's a sunken garden where we'll be able to sit, and we'd like to have a fire pit and be sheltered from any wind. Yeah. But it also helps from any surface water. So if we have some really heavy rain, that can fill up with water, and it helps protect the house. I know you've had your fair share of flood problems.
Oh, that's such a good idea that somebody actually thought about that before they built something.
Yeah.
Really, I feel like no one ever thought about the rain when they built anything.
No.
So this water, this kind of hole that you've dug to make all the water go into, where does it go to? I am actually interested now.
So it will be at the moment it's just a big hole, but it will be obviously tidied up around the edges, because we'll have pathways around the top and then a bit of retaining wall to help support it. Excuse me. But then at the bottom, we've got to decide whether we want to seed it with I really don't like the idea of actually putting grass down there because it's going to have to be mown. But I did quite like the idea of putting clover down there, because the clover will only grow to a certain length and you get all these lovely pretty flowers that the bees love. Yeah. And they'll help absorb it. We do that, or we have to put in different layers of ground, like sand, and then something bigger over the top, something that helps it drain, you know. And if it got really bad and it wasn't draining, so the idea is that it will just drain naturally itself. If it got really bad, then we do have a pump in emergency.
The one thing I've always learned, if you live anywhere where it might even get flooded, it's always worth keeping a pump where you live.
Yes,
they're amazing things, and they literally save you when you're in predicaments like that. Okay, that's amazing, and thank you so much, Elizabeth, for coming on and sharing all that with us. If anyone was thinking about doing a project like this, before we go, it's my last question for you. What are your top tips? Would you give them any advice before they started a project like this? Don't do it.
That's why I was laughing, because I'm avoiding saying that, because it is a great thing. It is a great thing to do if you can, and I think a lot of people have the dream of building something themselves exactly as they'd like. It's just do a lot of research first, and then whatever you make as your budget, double or triple it. and then you might be looking more realistically at doing it, you know. Like I said, my husband doing the majority of the roles, especially the architecture, because architecture fees are expensive. We wouldn't have been able to do it if we weren't saving on that cost. And having other friends and my father-in-law who all have those skills to be able to do it. So it's good. Make a plan and then find somewhere. If you were going to find somewhere, I think it's good to find somewhere that's already got existing buildings. It's a lot less challenging. than if you found a lovely open field. You're going to come up with a lot harder challenge to try and do something.
Right. That's quite
Yeah.
useful to know, actually, because you would expect
Yes.
it to be the other way around. If you were a layman like me,
Well, I always used to think, oh, there's a beautiful place. I'd love to have a house there. But the reality of me actually being able to put a house there is really slim, because obviously we quite rightly try and protect the green belt and our countryside. So yeah, it's think of something, have a dream, set a budget, make it bigger. And then just, I don't know, enjoy it. Know that it's going to have its ups and downs and stresses, but like everything, and you'll have to make compromises in certain areas, and yeah. There is a lot more to it than I ever thought. Building a house, a lot more people that you have to ask permission from and things. Which I think a lot of people didn't know. Because we're in the green belt, we couldn't just build an extension. We being in the green belt basically negates your right to that percentage that everyone's entitled to. I think it's like 20%. Most places are entitled to extend by 20% if they haven't already, or the people before them haven't. But if you're in the green belt, you don't get that, because you have to apply anyway to be able to extend. So it's, those are things that I didn't know, but we know now.
Yeah, I bet it's been a huge learning curve for you.
Yes.
But it's looking like it's paying off. It looks fabulous.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for coming to talk to us today, Elizabeth. It's been really wonderful.
Thank you.
Looking at what you've been up to, and I'm sure if you're up for it, we'd love to get you on again when it's done and do maybe a virtual tour of.
Perfect. Yeah,
that might be nice. Good. Best of luck with the rest of the build.
Thank you. Thanks.
All right. Thank you very much.
See you later. Bye, everyone. Bye.